Hi there. I'm Mike Larson, editor-in-chief at MoneyShow, and I'm coming to you from the MoneyShow Orlando, and I have the chance to speak with Glauber Contessoto, or better known on social media as Pro the Doge, the main character in This Is Not Financial Advice. Pro, how are you?
I'm good, man. What's going on? Glad to be
Oh,
here.
crazy, crazy. Glad we could catch up and do this. Part of this was we showed the movie This Is Not Financial Advice here at the show. Great reception. A lot of people had some good things to say afterwards. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your journey with the movie? How you got involved and just kind of the whole process that people see on film here.
Okay, sure. So shortly after I had the CNBC article kind of break my story for the first time and, just kind of showcase everything to the world, a few days after that, I had Chris reach out to me. So Chris, the director of the movie, reached out to me and said, "Hey, I saw this article about you. I've been kind of following you on social media for a while now. And would love to know a little bit more about your story." So we sat there and we had an interview for about 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, he was like, "You know what? I'm like, is it cool if I send some guys with video cameras to your house tomorrow?" I was like, "Sure." So the next day I wake up and there's like camera guys in my face, and that's how the documentary started.
Got it. Yeah. I think the cool thing about this movie is it's about financial education. It teaches a lot of younger investors sort of, how the markets have changed and just the roller coaster ride. So I was wondering, and what are your thoughts on that? I mean, again, from the highs, the lows, it's been sort of all over the map the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, man, I think it's so important. I honestly believe financial literacy just in schools in general across the country has never been a strong suit. And I'm speaking from experience, right? So I grew up in the school system, and I don't remember having a single class that taught us about budgeting, about finances, about investing. Not once have I ever heard in the term investing in the public school system. And so I feel like now more than ever we have an opportunity here to really start, kind of bringing that into the schools, kind of like starting new programs, kind of introducing kids to the world of finance, to how to invest, how to create generational wealth. What are some pitfalls to watch out for? Because, I just feel like it's so important. And I feel like kids need to know these things.
Yeah. People are going to see it in the film, but if they haven't yet seen it, how did you get involved in this in the first place? I mean, what prompted you to take your money and put it in a Dogecoin of all things?
Like honestly, it started with stocks, man. Like I said, I never heard a single thing about investing. I didn't know anything about the stock market growing up. We didn't even have an electoral, like we didn't have an extracurricular activity class or anything like that in school. So there was never something that I was exposed to. And so it wasn't until I was in my late 20s that I was like, oh, okay. So I was able to save up, you know, $2,000-3,000. What can I do with this money in order for it to grow? Like how can I make more money with this money that I've been able to save up? And so it just came down to me going online and Googling how to become a millionaire, or how to invest money. How do I, because there's literally no options out there, just from a educational standpoint.
Yeah.
And so I just came across, investing by myself, and I discovered Robinhood, and then I started investing, just little by little here and there, trying to understand how it works, just all on my own. So it started with stocks. It started with actually started with Robinhood. So it was, the retail investor app for the first time. They were probably one of the first ones to
Yeah.
even have that. But it started with stocks, and it went from stocks into cryptocurrency and then Dogecoin.
Now, your experience with cryptocurrency, I mean, obviously everybody's seen the highs from back when, your whole process started, the lows since then. Now, as we're speaking, you're actually seeing a little bit of recovery there. What's your experience with that? I mean, do you think this whole process has been healthy? You think it's good for investors? Any cautions or things that you learned that you tell people if they wanted to get involved?
Yeah, no, I've learned so much, man. I should really put together a class here. Because everything I learned was firsthand. You know what I mean? Just my experience through the entire thing, and I learned, so many things. But yeah, no, if I was to speak to somebody about investing, someone who knows nothing about it and just is getting started now, I would say, you know, tread carefully. I would say invest just a little bit of money. Don't invest more money than you can afford to lose. I would speak about the safest options in investing, which you have the I think they say FANG, right, for the
Yeah.
top five stocks that are considered the safest, or the ones that had the biggest returns. But cryptocurrency has something similar to that too. So I would speak about the crypto that have the highest returns, but there's also the crypto that doesn't have as high of returns, but those are the safer route cryptos. So I mean, I kind of understand, just in general, from a newbie standpoint, like if you want to start investing money, there are coins and there are stocks that are more, I guess, friendlier. You don't have to be as freaking out every day whether or not the price is going up or down, or you're going to lose all your money, or what's going to happen. But you start there, you start slowly. You start with the big safe guys, and then you kind of little by little start learning the ins and outs, and you can take bigger risks, right? And you can start doing things like that.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I saw some of the stuff you were saying on Twitter about, trying to educate people about the blue chips of the crypto world versus, some of the other riskier stuff. So it's interesting that, that's how the market has kind of evolved, right?
It is. And here's the thing. We've had so much time to kind of like showcase what a blue chip what blue chip stocks are in the stock market, right? The ones I was mentioning. You got Apple, you got Facebook, you got Google, you got Netflix, and you got Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And so we've had data to show and prove that these stocks have been the best ones to invest in here in the last 20 years, right? We don't have 20 years for crypto.
Sure.
And so with crypto, it's a little bit more of a cautionary tale, I guess. But when it comes to crypto, you don't have 20 years of data, but you have 10, 11, 12 years of data, right?
Yeah.
Bitcoin came out in like 09, 10, 2010. So it's like, okay, I can see here it's cyclical, much like the stock market. There's a lot of things that are very similar when it comes to crypto and it comes to the stocks. And the thing is, because crypto is such a new technology, and because it is such a new world for investors here, because we only have about 10 years of data here,
Sure.
the returns from that would be a lot higher than something like the stock market. So I think it's smart for you to learn as much as you can about crypto now, while it's still early, right? While we still only have 10, 11, 12 years of data here.
Yeah.
Like, this is when you learn about crypto. You don't want to learn about crypto 20, 30, 40 years from now, when like everything's already established. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a higher risk situation, but it's also, higher returns.
Well, it's interesting, now they're even talking pretty soon we're going to have spot Bitcoin ETFs and some of these things that are probably going to bring even the big money, the Wall Street money, into a market that so far has been mostly retail and,
Right.
in its early days, a lot of gunslinging trades.
Right.
I mean, how do you think that's going to change the environment?
I think I think it's incredible. I think it's amazing. So having big money, having corporations, these big dogs with like, unlimited funds, having them join in on the whole crypto train is going to be, I think, good and bad, but I think more good than bad, because what has happened is it's almost been kind of in reverse. It like the little guys got in first. Do you see what I'm saying? So like in the last 10 years, it's been retail investors.
Yeah.
And so something like the stock market has been around, for forever. The little guy just finally got his foot in, right? Because prior to apps like Robinhood, you couldn't invest unless you had a broker, a trader. You had to physically go into a building and speak to somebody about that, and you had to be like you needed requirements, and you had to have a certain amount of money to be able to invest, right? The retail investors just got into the picture here. And so with crypto, it's kind of been a backwards situation where the retail investors have started, and they're the ones that took the highest risks here like 10 years ago, right? Because this could have not turned out to be what it was. And so it's like, now that big money is coming in, if anything, that'll not only validate every retail investor that invested in crypto to say, okay, this is something that's smart. This is something that I should have been doing, but it'll also show everyone else in the general public that knows nothing about crypto that, wait, okay,
Yeah.
BlackRock is getting in on this. Okay, there's going to be an ETF. Okay, maybe this is something I want to look into. And by the time those people come in, because maybe they're not as risk adverse, right? Maybe these guys are have a ton of money. They don't really need to take big risks, and maybe they'll put a little bit of money in. But you get enough of those people in here, and all of a sudden, crypto's value is shooting up and shooting through the roof. And so I
Yeah.
feel like this is a great thing that we have, the big dogs coming in. I know that also with that comes regulation. So we're going to go into like, it's, you can't avoid it. Regulation is going to happen whether you like it or not. But maybe the way it happens can be, I think it could work out for everyone.
Yeah. I guess in the time we have left, what do you do next? Where do you see yourself going with your journey that you've been on? And you're always going to be associated with Doge, but are there other cryptos again that you find really attractive here as well?
No, for sure. There's tons of crypto that I find attractive, and there's a lot of crypto that I'm invested in outside of Dogecoin as well. I have, like I said, I try to keep my portfolio pretty organized, I guess, at this point, where I have maybe two or three cryptos that are considered my conviction plays,
Yeah.
which are the ones that I'm gonna stand behind here in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And then I have my speculation plays on the other side, which are the super high risk, and if they work out, super returns, but they could also go to zero. But I keep it so like maybe 80 or 90% of my portfolio is in the long-term conviction plays. Just kind of out here for the long run with those. Dogecoin obviously being the number one. And then on the other hand, here I have maybe 10% of my portfolio in a bunch of speculation plays,
Yeah.
because if anything takes off, that'll be more than worth it for me.
Got it. Got it. Well, listen, so yeah, I guess, like I said, last question would just be, where do you see your journey going next? I mean, what are you looking to do in the next couple of years in the crypto space?
I feel like the documentary is an incredible teaching tool. And I would love to kind of, be at the forefront of financial literacy. Like, I know, as silly as that sounds, because when you look at the movie, I took all of the wrong decisions. But I believe that my firsthand learning experience, which is showcased throughout the movie in real time, is a perfect, teaching point. So if we're able to find a way, whether it's through the school system or just going to colleges or just going to different conferences and just like maybe having financial programs for kids and stuff, I would love to be at the forefront of that, kind of spearhead that, and just teach people as much as I can from what I've learned. Maybe put together some kind of program that we can introduce to kids and young adults that don't know the first thing about investing, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of times I wish I could go back 20 years and have a big brother or have somebody who I trusted kind of teach me the ropes and kind of explain what stocks are, explain what cryptocurrency is, explain what all these things are. So I have a better understanding to be able to invest. And so I feel like that's a huge like point that's missing in the school system. And if there's any way that I can kind of shed light on that and just kind of speak to young people and kind of teach them as I go, I would love to do that, just around the country, just be able to talk to different groups of people and kind of put this on the forefront.
Awesome. Well, listen, Pro, I appreciate you taking some time out to chat here today from Orlando. I know you're out there in Vegas. Best of luck to you. Really appreciate the film. And for anybody watching this, check out at Tinfa Films and also at Pro the Doge, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Cheers.